She who thrives. Phoenix rising. The true me. The ups and downs crazy in life. So take this journey with me. She who thrives. Yeah. Good morning, sunshines, and welcome to She Who Thrives, a podcast for women, about women that have faced different adversities in life and have become successful in their own right and whatever, however they determine success is. And today is I want to say my second, yes, this is my second virtual podcast interview on my podcast because I was on her podcast and we have our um our next guest. She had me on her podcast, and that was my first virtual interview. Mariani, look at me, Mariana Monterrubio. So this is my guest. She's out in Texas, right?
Yes, I'm in Dickinson, Texas, near Houston. Yeah.
Oh, near Houston. Okay. So thank you for coming on and being a guest. I was excited when you wanted I had reached out to you to get on yours and then you said yeah and then we hit it off and all that. So I did read some of the your book and I want to say congratulations on that. It's good. I just have been going crazy with putting in furniture and all that stuff in my house. I haven't been able to sit down and have a clear mind without I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do this. But I did have screenshots on some areas that I that I seen and I was like, "Ooh, we got to talk about that. Ooh, we got to talk about that." So
Um,
anyways, do you want to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you so much, Janelle, for having me on your show, and I'm very excited about it. But yes, my name is Mariana Monterrubio. Like I said, I live here south of Houston. I'm a mom of 5 kids. Of course, 3 of them are adults, so they're out of the house. I'm a life coach. I'm a podcaster, and I'm also an author. Um, and what else could I say about myself other than, oh, yeah, I guess the important thing, I'm about to be 50 next month and I'm excited.
Oh, wow, congrats. Are you doing a big celebration?
Well, yes, it turns out that my husband's going to go ahead and throw me a birthday party. It was supposed to be a surprise, but we went to my other friend's party and I think he had a little bit too
Mhm.
much to drink and soltó la sopa.
That's funny.
He was like, "Hey, y'all, make sure y'all give my wife y'all's information so she can invite y'all to her surprise birthday party." I'm like,
Oh, wow.
Okay."
Well, you said you have 5 kids. I didn't know there were it was 5. For some reason, I thought it was 3.
No, my 3 older children, so those are the ones that I talk about mostly in the book, because the 2
Mhm,
younger
okay.
ones came from this marriage that I'm in, and so the 3 older ones are the ones that kind of were in everything with me through that journey that I was going through.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how old are the younger ones?
The younger ones, one's gonna be 15 and the other one's gonna be 11. They're 4 years and 1 day apart.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, that gets me to the point where you had said in the book, it's never too late or you're not, that journey of some people say, I'm not, young enough anymore. I'm older in age or I can't do this because of whatever. So that you just proved it. Because you were older when you had your little ones.
Yeah.
But wow, okay, so I started reading the book, and her book is called Mommy on a Mission. Um, and there's abbreviation. You want to speak on what the abbreviation is?
Yes. So MAMI stands for Mujeres Alcanzando Metas Imposibles. So for those who don't speak English, Spanish, it's women achieving impossible goals. And it's basically me. I mean, so I was that mommy on a mission, and I see so many mommies out there that are on a mission to do so much that I decided, let me write a book about it.
And you were on the bestsellers list on Amazon,
Yes, I
correct?
was, and that was a shocker because I was just thinking, "I'm gonna write this book, put it on Amazon." I didn't think I was gonna be a bestseller, but hey. Anything is possible, right?
Right, right, right. How long has the book been out?
So the book has been out since July, July of 2023.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, so it hasn't been too long, but maybe 6, 7 months now. Hmm.
Mhm. Are you going and doing book tours?
I've done a book launch, and I'm actually about to in February, I think it is. I'll be going to one of the local libraries out there. They have Meet the Author Night. I have gone
Mhm.
to a few events, but like a big launch, no. They've all been like mini launches, like mini tours, but within the city. Yeah. I
Okay.
would love to do an actual book tour, but we'll see. We'll
I know
see.
I have to do mine too, and I haven't even sat and like planned it out. I'm supposed to do it with my producers, and I just haven't done it yet. I've been with so many things. It's just life is lifing,
I
so it's
know.
like kind of hard. But
Absolutely.
yeah, one of the screenshots that I did from your book, because yeah, I did it on the Kindle. Do not let others convince you that it's too late to pursue your dreams. And that was like, you know what? That is so true. Especially like you've gone through a divorce. I've gone through a divorce. And I know one of those questions was, I was in my 40s already. Like, who's gonna I don't have any kids or anything like that. Now, like, who's gonna want me in my 40s? I can't have kids, or maybe not be able to have kids. At this age, you start to question it. Like,
Mhm.
do I want to get back into a relationship and stuff like that? So when you had put that in your key points, was like, wow. Because we as women, oh, I think not just women, I think just anyone in general, you start to think, I can't do that anymore because I'm at an age that I can't pursue that. And I know you were writing that in the book as well about if you want, at me at this age, I've been in the finance industry for so long that would I want to give that up and pursue
Mm,
something else at the age of 43? And I'm like, no, I wouldn't do it because I'm financially good.
yeah,
It's why would I want to start all over again? Do I have the energy? So I know you coach people through that.
right.
What is your advice when people say no? I'm too old for that right now.
Well, I mean, the very first question that I ask them is what you're doing are you happy doing what you're doing? Because a lot of
Mhm.
times people end up doing something that they're truly not happy and they're just doing it because they've been doing it for so long that they found comfort in it. Or like I said, the mindset is, man, it's just too late. It's too old. I don't have the energy. I don't have the time. But to me,
Yeah.
I see those as excuses. I see
Mhm.
those as a way to not try, at least giving it a try. Right. But again, I
Mhm.
mean, it's all about where you are. Like, if you're happy doing what you're doing, then great. I mean, that's all you can ask for. Right. But if
Yeah.
you are going to bed and you're thinking about, like, I hate my job. I hate what I'm doing. I don't like this, but it's too late for me to start. Then I have to ask that question of, if money was no object, if that was the last of your worries, what would you be doing? And then a lot of times that's when I start prodding and they start answering that question with, well, I would do this and do that. Okay, so what's stopping you from trying to pursue that? I'm not saying you have to quit your job today, but what I am saying is this is a perfect opportunity for you to start thinking about some goals to get you to where you want to get, to where you know that you're aiming for something and
Mhm.
you know that there's going to be an end result. I'm not saying you have to leave what's comfortable right now, because if that's paying the bills, then that's paying the bills. But if you can find a way to navigate through that, and then of course, I talk a lot too about having the right people in your path to be able to accomplish those things, because we all know that we can do as much as we can on our own,
Mhm.
but we can only get so far. But when you have other people that have the tools and the resources that you need, then it takes those people to help you continue even further.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I tell people that I said this in one of my podcasts too, like, life isn't meant to be done by itself, by
Mhm.
yourself. We're supposed to be in a community and to find those people that is going to help you get to where you want to go. Um, it's not being an opportunist, because a lot of people are like, I don't want to be an opportunist and seek out that. It's not that if you relate to someone and really aspire to be like them, then you want to learn from them.
Right.
Um, and the other one of the other key points, and this is the same behind the same chapter, was do not allow yourself too much time to think about doing something. Oh my God, the overthinking. I did that last night and I did it this morning. I was overthinking so much. It is just like, oh my God, like stop overthinking. You start to question everything. And then by questioning yourself so much, you you put a hold and a stop to what you want to pursue because you're filling your head in with so many negative thoughts.
Mhm.
What do you tell people when they do that?
Well, a lot of times I'll ask coaching is about asking a lot of questions. I always say
Yeah.
that I was born to be nosy, so I ask because I ask a lot of questions, but when you ask a lot of questions, you start to learn a lot of things, right? But
Yeah.
no, but really, I ask questions like why are you overthinking it? And a lot of times when people are overthinking, it's because fear starts to kick in. And then all the
Mhm.
what ifs start to come into play. So it's like, well, what if this happens? Or what if that happens? And it's all the negative stuff. We never think about what the positive things can come out of it. But it's like our mind is programmed to go automatically into the negative, that we'll talk ourselves out of doing something. But at the same time, I'll have to reverse that question, like reverse psychology. Okay, what if it works out? What if
Mhm.
you gain success from that? What if? Let's talk about the what ifs on the positive side. How would
Mhm.
you know unless you try? How would you know unless you go for it? You won't know
Right.
because you don't even know if it's going to go right or wrong either way. You've got a 50-50 chance no matter what you do. But it's about
Mhm.
reversing that mindset. And that comes with that mindset growth, reversing the lies or reversing the negatives, because we're programmed like that because of so many of other people, right? We always have people that want to throw in, they say they play the devil's advocate. Okay, well, what if this, or what if that? I'm like, man, I don't have time to hear all those things. Let me just try it and be a
Yeah.
risk taker and go for it, because if we never take risk, we'll never know, and
Right.
everything comes
Right.
with a consequence, no matter if it's good or bad.
Mhm. And
Mhm.
I think you said it in the book too. Like people are gonna put their own negativity onto you.
Mhm.
They're gonna deflect their own negativity onto you. And I say the same thing all the time. Like, especially when I started my business, people had a lot of negative comments to say, a lot. And if I would have went by that, I wouldn't be where I am today.
Mhm.
And people will celebrate you when you already accomplished so much as opposed to celebrating you when you're going through it all.
Right.
And unfortunately, it's just where we're at right now. And I don't know if it's in a Hispanic community or if it's in general. I don't know, but I know with me, um you're fighting society, but you're also fighting your own family because there's a lot of people in your own family that are very closed-minded. Not because they probably would want to be, but I think they were conditioned from their own past to be that way, that you need to have a 9 to 5. You need to graduate or whatever, have that 9 to 5 and stay
Mhm.
in that 9 to 5 and that's it, that they're programmed to be that way. Um so when people come to you and tell you, "Well, this is what my family wants me to be." Have you ever got that question?
Oh,
My
yeah.
family wants me to be this, but I want to be this. What do you advise?
So when that happens, and of course, I've had that happen even to myself, because I think for the most part, parents have their own ideas of what they want their kids to be,
Mhm.
or what they feel like they should be. And I guess the most common is, oh, I want you to grow up to be a doctor. I want you to grow up to be a teacher. I want you to, all the
Yeah.
key, what you would call, I guess, job security. But then I have to ask them, okay, that's what your parents want, but who told them to be who they are? And are they
Ooh.
happy? And
Right.
are they happy doing what they're doing? Like, instead of you worrying about what, I would ask them, ask your parents, well, if you weren't this, what were your hopes and dreams at one time? And why did you
Mhm.
not pursue that? And they even get thrown off like, I've never even thought to ask my family that
Some people
question.
won't even dare to ask their parent
No,
that.
no, they won't because that's like, "What? You don't question your parents."
Right,
But it's true. I mean, I'll ask them, okay, that was their choice. Who made the choice up for them? Because it's
right.
like you said, I mean, it's all generational. You follow they're only following what is being taught to them. So
Right,
perhaps those parents were taught by their parents taught by their parents. So it's like, when are you going to be that chain breaker? When are you going to be the one that's
mhm,
going to go outside? And so you might be seen as the rebellious kid. You might be seen as
mhm,
someone who's just, hard-headed or whatever. And that's okay because that's who I was. And now, my mom, when she sees me, she goes, "Wow, you actually did what you said you were going to do." And
right,
she goes, "And here I was trying to stop you from even trying because I was scared for you." And at the end of the day, that's really what it is. It's like I said in the book, it's projecting their own fears and insecurities into you in making that
right,
decision. And so
mhm.
once I start asking those questions, then I think they start feeling a little bit more confident in starting to think about their next step. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
And I know, you and I have spoke, I read some of it in the book too. You had your own journey in your life that has been not an easy path, um, to get to where you're at right now.
Right.
And I know you went through your previous relationships
Mhm.
that weren't the easiest.
Yeah, I could
Do you
talk
wanna
about
talk
it.
about that?
Absolutely. So I always say that my 20s are somewhat of a blur, because that is where a lot of the hard lessons came into play. So, yes, I was in a marriage. So I got married first at 17, divorced by 22, and I already had one child. Then I decided to take that risk and move to a completely different city. So I went from Galveston, which is south of Houston, to move to San Antonio, which was 4 hours away without anybody, no family, no friends, no one. I didn't know but maybe one person there. And it was there that I met my second husband. And just like any romance story, I guess, you meet someone, you like them, you get to know each other, but you also ignore the red flags that are before you because you're so embobada in the relationship
Mhm,
and stuff. And it wasn't until a couple of years later, by this time we already had a son together, that his lies started to reveal themselves. And what I mean by that is, he was a drug addict, and it escalated. His drug addiction escalated, and it started to interfere in his work life, and then it started to come into our family life to the point where his addiction would he would binge on his drug, and I wouldn't see him for days or weeks. And when I did see him, um, then the abuse would start because I would start to question what he was doing and stuff. And of course, all of this took a matter of years for that to build up when I started asking questions. And by this point, we were so deep into our relationship, the manipulation had already started, the narcissism was there, the drug addiction was there, the mood swings, where I'm having to walk on eggshells, not knowing what mood he was going to be in because he would dictate the day based on his moods, right? And here I am now
mhm,
with two small boys, and now pregnant with my third baby, which is who was our daughter, and just going through that to where he lost his job because of his addiction. We were losing things from our home. We were starting to lose our house. He started stealing from our own bank account because he was purchasing drugs with it, pawning stuff from the house to the point where it kind of forced me to leave. But when I left, he found me, and he, again, it was back at that relationship. Cops were called all the time. The physical abuse was happening, the verbal, the emotional, the mental, everything was, going on. And so I always say that my 20s was a huge roller coaster ride. And it was finally when I moved to Oklahoma City and I had turned 30 in Oklahoma, which is crazy because I'm gonna be 50. So that was almost, in February, be 20 years ago that happened. And it
Mhm.
was 20 years ago that my life started all over again. All I had was a high school diploma, but I didn't have any real job skills other than I knew how to type. I knew how to type and I knew how to talk. And those were my
Mhm.
gifts. And so I ended up finding a, a job in Oklahoma City. And it was through there that I built the friendships that I had at the job that I was at. We built a strong connection to where those women really, that was the first time that I ever experienced what a real woman looks like. And what I mean by that is that these were women that weren't talking about me behind my back, that weren't envious, that weren't jealous, but these were women that were literally showing me how to fix my crown. These were women that were coming alongside of me, filling me up with the strength that I needed, pouring into me words that were going to encourage me and stuff. And they were the ones that gave me the strength, along with God, of course, because I am a Catholic, and
Mhm.
so I believe in God's divine purpose and stuff. And I do know that He placed these women in my life to give me the exact thing that I needed in order for me to make that change. Because now here I am about to make a huge life change, and that was to leave an abusive relationship and start my own life. And that is when I decided to leave. I went back to college. I enrolled. I knew that I was going to have to leave Oklahoma eventually. I did. I came back to my hometown and then I started speaking about what was going on in my life. And that right there, the moment that I started speaking about what truly was going on in my life, the depression and everything alongside that, it started to give me more and more strength to be able to continue to move forward, because now my family knew exactly what was going on in my life, and they were just like in awe because they couldn't believe it. But I think that even if I did tell them at that time, it would be hard for them to kind of like, because I knew how to hide it behind a fake smile. Everyone else
So
thought
you
everything was
hid
good. Yeah.
so you hid all of that domestic violence
I
from them?
did. I did. I hid a lot of it. They didn't know anything that was going on with me. Nothing, because
Oh, wow.
I would smile in front of them and pretend that everything was okay because I did not want them to know what was truly going on. And not just that, but even he himself would be like, you better not say anything. You better keep your mouth shut, and don't
Yeah.
say anything, because they're going to come in, and and then he threatened me, oh, and they're going to take the kids away from you, and all this stuff that would scare me. And of course, for a mom, that's the first thing that's going to scare you, is when they start threatening you with your own children. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, out of fear, I never said anything until I got to Oklahoma City, and that's when I really started to speak up. And I did it. Sure, there was fear behind it, but eventually it started getting easier and easier. And then, eventually he was arrested for the many times, but this time, um, he would get arrested and go and having to serve federal prison time. So it wasn't just jail or state; it was now federal
Mhm.
prison. And unfortunately, and I say unfortunately because I have forgiven the man, right? I don't forget, but I have forgiven
Mhm.
him. And unfortunately for him, the trajectory of his life is being behind bars for the next 30 some odd years, which,
Oh, wow, so he's still there?
yeah, he's still there. Mhm.
Oh, wow. Do your kids have a relationship with him?
They do, um, so they know who he is, and when they turned 18, I pretty much
Mhm.
said, "It's up to you." I never did badmouth him in front of the kids. When my kids got old enough to ask me about him, I was not gonna tell them who or what he did. I wanted them to
Mhm.
know for themselves, and so what I ended up doing was all the letters that he would write me from when he every time he would go to jail, where he's apologizing for the things that he did, for his drug use, for the abuse and stuff. They heard it from his own words. They didn't hear it from me. And so
Yeah.
it was up to them to make that decision. And so I think they try. I think our son together, he has the most communication with him. My daughter tried, but his true color started to come out with her because he one day she answered the phone and he was like, "What? You don't?" And excuse me for cussing, but this is
No,
how
go
he
ahead.
said it. He goes, "You know what? What the fuck? You don't know how to answer your fucking phone or what?" And my daughter grabs the phone and she's looking and she's like, "Is this what you went through?" And it's like and she said, "Listen," she goes, "My dad doesn't talk to me this way." She goes, "I don't know who you think you are, but my dad never badmouths me. My dad never calls me out of name." And when she's talking about my dad, she's talking about my husband, the man that raised her,
Mhm,
you know? And
mm.
so she's always saying, "My dad doesn't talk to me this way." She goes, "I don't know who you think you are." And ever since then, she just doesn't accept his call. She goes, "No, I'm not gonna do that." She goes, "I have boundaries," and he crossed it.
Oh, wow, good for her.
Yeah.
Good for
Yeah.
her. Well, sorry to hear that you went on all through that, but I always say that we go through certain things in life to get to our purpose in life,
Yeah.
and it looks like that's what you're doing. I know you were in the book I was reading how you helped others. It was you went to, I think, like a senior place or something, that you were helping other people try to get a new
Mhm.
job later on in life.
Mhm.
So that was funny. I was just like, I can only imagine at a younger age trying to teach these people something, because it's so hard to teach an old dog new
Girl,
tricks.
let me tell you, I think I was very green in the field because that was, like, my first job as an employment coach, and it was through
Mhm.
yeah, the CSEP program, which is the Senior Community Service Employment Program, and it was for the 55 and older, which is crazy because 'cause I'm about to be 50 now, right? But I think I was 35 at the time when I first started that position, and I remember they tore me up and down. They were like, "What the hell are you going to teach me about finding the job? You're 35, you're just a baby. Like, how are you gonna help me find a job?" And it's so crazy because it was through them that I learned
Mhm.
how to have more empathy. I learned compassion. I learned patience because that was something I did not have. I learned patience with them, and I eventually won them over, and they knew I was their biggest fan and their biggest advocate. And I was able to help about 74% of my clients because they were listening to me to do it, found employment, permanent employment at their age, and they were like, "What?"
Can you imagine yourself now, at your age now that you're gonna be 50, seeking advice from a 20-year-old
Listen,
or
I have
even
a
a 30-year-old?
Listen, I have a 31-year-old. Well, he's gonna be 31, and he's always trying to I was like, "Shut you don't know what the hell you're talking Would you leave me alone? Y'all don't know." I say and I always tell them, "Cuando tú vas, yo ya fui y vine, leave me alone." And then
Uh-huh.
he's like, "See, mom, you don't ever wanna listen to us. We know some things too." But
You see, you're giving them hell, and they were giving you know what? Sometimes it's we can learn from the younger generation, because
yeah.
I'm always learning, especially in technology. I'd be asking my assistant, she's in her 20s, like, how do you do this? I need you to teach me how to do this. I mean, she's the one that teaches me how to do makeup and all of that stuff. So we'll learn from them.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. No, I do. I have to pause for a moment. I'm like, "Okay, okay, okay, you're right. I can learn from you." And I'm like, "Here I am. I wrote a book all about how we have to learn from others. Okay, let me give you a chance and stuff." And so when I
Right.
listen, I do learn something, but, oh, trust me, I give them hell, though. I was like, "I earned that right," you know?
Right, right. So the other thing that has stood out to me, it was like how life is, some people think it's just that straight line. And then some people are just, it curves a little bit. But real life, you had this illustration with the real life was like all over the place. I was like, oh my God, that is so true. And I tell people, especially, those that are entrepreneurs, like, you're gonna have your ups and downs, but sometimes you're gonna have the ones that go around and around and, all over the place, because once you think, okay, you're up and you're breathing, something else happens and you have to pivot again. So that illustration was so funny. I was like,
Yeah,
you know what? That is so freaking true.
it is
You
because we all think we're going for, and I tell people when they're coming to see me in coaching, I'm like, y'all, it's not going to be a straight line from like A to B. Like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to, get to this goal and it's going to be like, I said, no, I said, you're going to start. I said, but man, life is going to it's going to take you on either slippy slope, or it's just going to take
yeah.
you all over the place and you're going to be batshit crazy by the end of it. But you would have learned something.
Right, right. So for those that don't know what a life coach is, do you wanna expand on that?
Absolutely. So a lot of times people uh think of life coaching as a therapist, and no, we're not. A therapist works more on the emotional mental side of it, whereas a life coach is about getting you to the next step of your goal. Like now you're dealing with your mental and emotional through your therapist. They're going to be the ones that you're going to get to cry and talk to. But when they come to see me, and oftentimes therapists will refer them over to a life coach, because as they're dealing with the emotional side, a life coach is like, okay, now that you're dealing with this, what is it that you want?
Mhm.
And how are you going to get there? Like, what do you need from me to help you get to where you need to go?
Okay. Do you deal with a specific type of individual?
I primarily, so Mommy on a Mission is geared more for women, and I typically gear it more towards Latina women because I think oftentimes Latina women, we're still coming out of our generational upbringings. Our mentality is still
Mhm.
really set in how we're raised. And so it's very hard for them to come out on their own. And the very few that do, they're called and viewed as the like the black sheep of the family, but
Mhm.
that's not true. I think the ones that are coming out of it are really the ones that really want something different. They want to explore something new. But I don't, if I have a man that wants to come and receive life coaching, as a matter of fact, I have a client right now who's a male, and he read my book. He grabbed my book. I was at one of an event and he saw my book and he bought it. He goes, and he called me. He's like, I know you talk a lot about women. He goes, but I really resonated with a lot of the things that you were saying here.
Mhm.
And it was so crazy because as I'm coaching him, it's so funny that he has been sharing with me that, he's been talking to his family about, me being his life coach, and they were like, "Man, would you want to waste your money on someone like that? They're going to change your mentality. They're going to make you think you're better than us." And I start laughing. I was like, "Oh wow, so it's not just us Latino women that hear it, even the guys
Yeah.
are hearing it, right?" But and I told him, so I had to ask him, I'm like, "Well, how do you feel about it? Like,
Mhm.
do you feel like it's helping you? Do you feel like," and I said, "Because here's the thing, you are going to be viewed as someone who thinks they're better than someone else because you're doing something that they are too afraid to do. And so because of that, you're going to start talking differently. You're going to
Mhm.
start interacting with people differently. You're going to start hanging out with different types of people. You're not going to be hanging around the same type of people that are only going to bring you down. The way your life is going is going to change." I said, "I am not friends with the people that I was friends with a long time ago
Definitely not.
because
Mhm.
we go through a season. There's a season, a reason and a season for each person that comes into our life, right?" And so I said, now here in my life, I've got a completely different set of people. Not to say that I don't have some people that are still in my life, because those are the ones that truly were following me, throughout everything. Like they were there, my ride or dies, they're still there. But for the most part, though, I have a whole completely different set of people that I'm talking to. I'm talking to other podcasters, right? Those are the folks that I'm talking to. I'm talking to other Latina entrepreneurs that are together with me, teaching me, but I'm teaching them as well. And the fact that we're Latina and we're doing this together, like it's not just me, like there's another group of me out there. And
Mhm.
like for instance, yourself, like we stumbled across each other because of a mutual Latina,
Mhm.
right? And so there's like a big support out there. And I said, and that can be a beautiful thing. That doesn't mean that our head is getting bigger than what it is. That doesn't mean, it just means that right now we're in a season in our lives where we're going to meet the people that are going to, in their own way, invest. And I
Mhm.
talk a lot about investing in yourself in the book as well. I said, because we have to learn how to invest ourselves. We got to see ourselves as a business,
Mhm.
just like we see our own business, because we are our business.
Right.
We are the face behind our business. We are the voice behind our business.
Mhm.
And we're the ones that have to take care of ourselves, because no one is going to run our businesses like we are, because we're the heart behind it,
Right.
right? And so we need to know who those key people are going to be in our lives. I said, and so that's the only thing that's going to be different. And of course, people are going to be like, yeah, he thinks he's better than us, or she thinks she's better than us. And that's only, like I said, because they're too afraid to do what it is that you're doing. And so once I started talking to him, he was like, yeah, you're right. You're right.
It's true though, it's true because, we've talked about this too, that I'm from Chicago, and where I'm from, I get it from my own family, not just people from the neighborhood, but my own family will be like, "Oh, you forgot where you came from." And it's not that I forgot where I
Hmm.
came from. I am very proud of where I come from. It's just I needed to let go of that mentality, the way, I would speak back then. I had to let go of all of that so that way I can get to where I am at today. But what I want to do now, where I'm at today, is help people come to where I'm at
Hmm.
now. Like, if I forgot where I came from, I wouldn't care to help anyone from there. But,
That's right.
I want people to succeed. I want them to see what I had to do or what I went through so that way they know they can get through it themselves too. So that's the difference. I couldn't just keep it moving, never go back. My whole family's still there. I could keep it moving, never go back, and not acknowledge any of my past friends or anything like that. That's completely forgetting where you come from, or not even talk
Oh,
about
yeah.
that. That's where I come from. I'm very proud to say that I come from there. Um, so that's why. But like you said, I don't know if it's a fear of it, but some people feel like they're not good enough to be where we're at. Some people
Yeah.
still have that mentality, the street mentality especially, like, "This is all I know." No, you know more.
Hmm.
Just use that talent for something else, to something's more positive. Um, just especially that, I learned that hustle from the street, from seeing
Yeah.
people doing the street hustle. I learned all of that, but I used
Yeah.
it in a positive light, and if I would have never have seen that hustle, I probably wouldn't know how to hustle today. So, I'm like,
Hmm.
"No, you learn all of that, you have those, you say you didn't have much skills, but hey, typing is a skill." Even that back then, those typewriters were very hard to type with. I learned how to type on a regular typewriter, and that was
So
not
did I.
that's one
And the
hell of a
kind of
skill.
ting.
Uh-huh. That's one hell of a skill, and not everybody knows how to do that. So I have to say
Yeah.
that's one skill that I'm gonna be very proud of, that I learned on a
Yeah, oh, yeah.
typewriter, and I can type without looking and I don't know
That's it.
how many words per minute I do, but oh yeah, and now these keyboards are very soft. And it's not like that. So, and speaking, not everybody knows how to speak. Like, you come off as not being shy. It took me, and I still have these moments of not being able to speak in front of people because I start to get really nervous, and then of how I look, my body image issues and stuff like that. So what would you suggest for people to get over certain fears, to step out of their comfort zone to get to where they're at? How do you motivate them to do it?
So, one of the things that I have been able to help them with that is I tell them, and that was something that I practiced a lot, and that's learn how to be comfortable being
Yeah, that's
uncomfortable.
what I say
And
too, yeah.
so right now, yeah, I mean, I can talk in front of a group of people, but that wasn't always the case. I was very insecure with that. Because like I said, for a long time, I had to learn how to stop believing that lie that I wasn't good enough, or that no one was going to ever take me seriously, or that no one was ever going to listen to me. And so for a long time, I was scared to speak in front of people. But I was reading something. I don't remember what book it was that I had read, but it was where it says, in order for you to overcome the fear that you have, put yourself in that position any opportunity that you have. So if public speaking is something that you're afraid to do, then be the one to volunteer to do it all the time until you can actually accomplish that. If being on a camera is something that you're afraid to do, then put yourself in front of that camera all the time to overcome that fear until you become so comfortable with it that it's just second nature, right? So it's about placing yourself in those uncomfortable positions um, at each opportunity, so that you can overcome it. You'll never know until you start facing it, and that's one of the things that, as I'm talking to them, I'll say, "What is something that you're afraid to do, and when are you gonna put yourself in front of it to do it?"
That's
And
I agree 100% because I would never have thought that I would be sitting here doing these podcasts, and let alone a podcast that goes up on YouTube so people can see me and then putting all these TikToks and doing whatever social media. I I
Mhm,
I would never have thought that I would be doing this. So starting in September till now, having recorded, there's what, 18 episodes out already. Um so we record I said we record multiple in a day, but it's crazy because I would never had thought that I can overcome that fear.
mhm.
Now it's like, okay, what am I going to wear in front of the camera? I don't want to repeat the outfit that I had the last time. So now it's a different type of conversation that I'm having with myself. It's not
Yep,
the oh my god, I'm so nervous. And I don't you know what? Honestly, I was so nervous of the conversations today. I think it was more of that questioning of, am I doing something that I'm supposed to be doing? Um, is this worth it? Is this all worth it? So those are the questions that you start to ask yourself, especially when it comes to financials. Like you have to put money, you have to invest in yourself, like you said. But when money is the issue for some people, because not everybody has the financial means to do what they want to do, how what do you suggest to people? Because I know I do a lot of things that I try to be aware of money wise. Well, I do be aware because I'm a money person, but then I'm blessed to be able to do a lot of things that a lot of other people don't. So when they say
mhm.
the financial part is what burdens them and keeps them held back, what do you suggest? How do you go around that?
So one of the things that I do, so I'll give you an example as far as myself is concerned. I don't have anyone who produces my show. I produce my own show, I edit my own show, I record it and all that stuff, And so as of right now, I my studio is in my closet.
Oh wow.
I
Uh-huh.
invested in my own microphone. I have, I use what I have.
Yeah.
And it's about using what you have. Um, and to get started,
Right.
and just getting started, don't let the finances hold you back.
Right.
I always say too that there are so many resources out there for people that you just don't even know how to tap into it. Like if you never ask the questions, the answer is always going to be no.
Mhm.
If you never ask somebody for something, the answer is always going to be no, right? Because you already told yourself, no, I can't.
Right.
But, like, when I've had people that have told me that they wanna go, back to school, but they're like, "Well, I can't take this because of this or whatever," and I'm like, "Well, wait a minute. Let's see what resources are out there," and a lot of times I'm like, here's some resources out here that you can take advantage of, and it costs you nothing." Start with those steps right there, and
Mhm.
so that's why I say, it's having those the right people, the right connections. I can't tell you how many times I can go on Facebook, that Facebook marketplace, and somebody, or they're going on their Facebook and somebody's asking a question about, do you have this? And how many people are willing to give what they have
Mhm.
in order for you to get in there? But if you don't ever ask, like for my book, for instance, I I self-published my own book. Of course, I had a book publishing coach, but I still had to invest my money. I got on the internet and I started advertising and saying, "Hey, listen, I want to be able to publish my book. Would you be a sponsor in sponsoring my book?" And they started sponsoring me money to the point where I was able to get all of that done, you know? So it's trying to find the resources for yourself first, because when you start finding the resources for yourself first, it's more an open invitation for others to want to invest in you because they're already seeing that you're putting in the work first.
Oh wow, that's great advice. It's great advice
Mhm.
with that because, financials is a big thing for a lot of people. Um,
Mhm.
so I have to say, like, I I have a producer. I have people to take care of my stuff, so I'm truly blessed in that. But it's because my company actually sponsors this to do this, my own
Yeah.
company, you know. So because I don't have time to try to figure this out myself. Um, I have to worry about other stuff or whatever. So I'm like, I wanted to do this, and how was I going to do this? Like, I first was, yeah, I can try to get the mic myself and do all of these things, and then try to figure it out, but I know I wasn't gonna hold myself accountable to go and be
Mm.
consistent with it every week because I lifes
Right.
and then also trying to figure out with the business and everything else. So I am fortunate to be able to do this and I'm happy about that. But like you said, the whole sponsors, maybe I should even do that with the sponsoring with the podcast and see who wants to sponsor the podcast. Who knows? Um, but I do see you have a shirt for the Mommy on a Mission, right?
Yes, I do.
I see the top of it. That's cute. That is cute. I need to do that too.
Yes, you're she who thrives. But
Right.
no, like I said, I mean, but and it's going out there, like with the book, I go out there, I try to go to as many events that I can. But again, back, to the coaching, that's why I tell people, don't allow for things to limit you. There's always a way around things.
Mhm.
No matter what it is that you want to accomplish, there's always a way to get through. Nothing, even though it's hard, does not mean it's
Right.
impossible. And many times as an entrepreneur that not every day is an easy day. Some
Mhm.
days are smooth sailing, and then other days it's like everything comes at you at one time.
Right.
And so we all know that. And I think too, for business people, like I have people that say, well, I want to start my own business, but I don't know how, or I don't know. I'm like, okay, you do know that there's free resources. There's an organization called SCORE, the Senior Corps of Retired Executives, right?
Mhm.
That are there, they're retired. They want to mentor people. They want to help people launch their businesses and stuff. And people
I
don't
used
even
to
know
teach for
about that.
SCORE.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
I
And I've
stopped
had SCORE
I
mentees.
stopped teaching for them, when my divorce happened, when I got slammed with the divorce basically, that I was like, I need to take time
Mhm.
for myself. And then, because it is a volunteer work that I did.
Yeah.
So it was once a month that I was teaching a class. I was teaching how to use QuickBooks and then building your financial plan for the business plan portion. So yeah, I was teaching. So those are the mentors that they are retired and they're just trying to help you out and they give you a lot of resources, but you gotta be able to want it and go after it
Yeah.
and do it.
Mhm.
You're not gonna you can't just sit back and then it's gonna fall into your lap. It's
No,
not.
because just like with everything
Mhm.
else, it takes discipline. And I tell
Yeah.
that, when I talk about too about life coaching, when people ask me about how does that work, I'm like, okay, well, let me just give you this scenario real quick. When you go to the gym, you're going to the gym, you're going, and then you want to give up because there's nobody motivating you. So, what is it that you decide to do? You decide to hire a trainer, right? Okay, now the trainer's going to meet up with you. They're going to help you out with some resources by giving you some tools. They're going to give you a plan. They're going to help you come up with a plan that's going to work for you. They're going to put you on a meal plan. They're going to do all of these things and they're going to say, okay, here it is, you
Mhm.
know, but they're not going to do the work for you.
Mhm.
You've got to do the work because you're the one that's trying to find an end result.
Right.
They're there to help motivate you, to help hold you accountable, but they're not going to be the ones to make you go and do it.
Right.
They're not the ones that are going to get up in the morning and say, okay, you got to go work out. No, that's going to be up to you. That's going to require some discipline. Yeah, you can tell them, I need your accountability, and they're going to call you a few times. But when they notice that you don't want to do anything anymore, then they're going to be like, okay, you hired me to do this, but you're not willing to do the work. So
Mhm.
you're just wasting my time and you're wasting your time.
Yeah.
And it's just like that. That's
Mhm.
what life coaching is too.
Well, we're at the point that I didn't realize how fast this time went.
Yes. We can talk forever.
I know. So, before we go, because we ran over already, um, is there anything that you will want to talk about I mean, to put out there before we end this conversation?
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, if you want to learn more about who I am, what I do have a website, and that's www.mami, which is MAMI, on a mission.com. I'm also on Instagram at Hola Mami on a Mission. And I do have a podcast, which is Mommy on a Mission podcast as well. And you can find me on Spotify or wherever you get your podcast. But other than that, that's just the best way to get a hold of me. You can get a DM me on Instagram. I will be the one to respond to you. Or you can just reach out to me. But yeah, I mean, those are the ways that you can listen. And also, and my book is also on Amazon, so you can also find my book on Amazon. This is what it looks like. And I also have a new journal that goes along with it as
Oh,
well
that's
now.
cool.
Yeah, so it's got, things, it's got my daily task. How do I feel today? Three things I'm grateful for, today's affirmation, and what is my mood for today. So this is also out on Amazon as well. And so you can find both on Amazon.
Nice, nice. And the very last question that I ask, do you feel successful?
At times, no. Honestly, 2023 really showed me how much I was able to accomplish. And so yeah, for that, I feel like a success. I feel like my book is getting, even if it was just one person buying the book,
Mhm.
I was successful with that. Even if it was just one listener listening to the podcast, I was successful with that because that's one more person. So yeah.
I love that. I love that you said that, and I think I needed to hear that. I think I needed to hear that. But yes, thank you so much for being on my podcast.
Thank you, Janelle.
Of course, time is everything, and I appreciate your time. And for those of you who tuned in on YouTube and on podcast, thank you for tuning in and listening. Please, 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 please like, subscribe, share, and review. Review. I am reading all the reviews and I'm trying to respond, but it also helps me know what I should bring um, onto the podcast. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. Till next time. Bye.